Welcome back to Let's Code. So in our last video, we have seen how to create an MVC app. So we simply created the MVC app in our last video. We ran it and it was running. That's where we left. Now what we are going to do, our intention is to create one page first of all and see how that page and learn how that page can be rendered, how that page can be launched through MVC. So if you see here, all the typical layers are there: view, model, controller. Program is the kind of starting point of MVC application. I'll take you through in more detail. App settings.json, where the configuration resides. Configuration, like going forward, whenever you are connecting to the database and all, you should not ideally hard code your database connection string in your code. So these are the those kind of configurations we keep in app settings.json. View, I think it's very obvious and clear. Model is something where data resides. Controller, where view and model and each layer communicate to each other. Basically controller facilitates the view. We are going to see that. I am going to create under views directory. If you see the benefit of view, no, our all user interface are going to reside. So in a typical program, there are situations where thousands of files are there related to view. So those things are not scattered here and there. So those things are lying in proper directory like home, shared, similarly accounts, something like this. Let me first create a folder called calculator. Say I'll write calculator. Our intention is to write simple calculators that helps us in addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, something like that. So I have created a folder within views. Here we are going to create keep our files related to calculator logic. Then I'm doing right click on this calculator and I'll click on add and then view. One dialog should open. By default razor view empty is selected. I'll just go with the default one. I'll hit on add button. By default its name is index. I'll hit on add button to create the view. So my index is created. I'm going to remove everything. I'll just write one, say div. This is my first view. That's it. But in MVC, this view cannot be launched as how you were opening in your typical HTML, just clicking on the HTML file and it renders on the browser. No, it won't work. Here, in order to get this view rendered, we have to write one controller, because controller is the one that facilitates any view. So now I am going to hit right click button on my controllers folder. I'll click on add and then there is an option of controller. So basically I am adding one new controller. I am going to choose the default one, MVC controller empty. I'll click on add. This is a little tricky. Here this is okay. This is a little tricky. Like here I am the name of the controller. So I am keeping the name of the controller as calculator. This is nothing but the name of the view folder. So calculator controller. If you remember, we created one calculator folder within views, and while creating controller, the name of the controller class should be calculator controller. So this is common, calculator and calculator controller. So we, as and when we will advance, we will understand and read why. But for now you understand the name of the controller file should be same as the view folder. I'll hit on add button. And what is a controller? So controller, and this kind of design pattern, basically MVC is a design pattern. Everything is class, either it's model, either it's controller, everything is class, but the class is designed in such a way it behaves different. So controller also is a class, but that class is derived from controller class. This is ASP.NET Core, base class is controller. And what is controller? Controller is a class that contains action methods. So this kind of methods that resides in controller, those things are called action methods. These action methods helps in rendering the view, helps in transferring the data from controller to user interface. We will be looking into all these things in more detail, but to keep it simple at this level, so our action methods are the one that is going to help us rendering the view. So by default there is one action method created for me, public iAction result. Name of the action method is index and it returns view. So let me just tell you what does it mean. So let's first of all run this code and see if our first view is getting rendered or not. So I'll calculator and then index. So when I'm typing this, our view is getting rendered. This is called routing in ASP.NET. This means whenever we are typing this calculator, this means controller and then action method name. So when this request reaches to the server, it resolves, and after resolving it knows like there is a controller with the name calculator controller. Within calculator controller there is a action method named index. So that's how it reaches to this place, and from here it returns view. So we have not passed any parameter. Not passing any parameter, this means it knows under views calculator folder there is a view file named having name same as the name of action method. So I will repeat all these things once again. Whenever we are typing this kind of URL, how it is resolved? It is resolved like system knows, the server knows there is a controller class named calculator controller. In the calculator controller class there is an action method named index. That's how it reaches to this action method. This returns view, and here we have not passed any parameter. Not passing any parameter simply means, this means in the views calculator directory of views, this there is an action there is a view file name having name same as the name of the action method. That's it. That's the reason any path is not given. If I will change this name, it will stop working. So this also I'll tell like how to open by default. One second, it should not have worked ideally. That's what I wanted to show you, because name of our action method has been different from the name of view. It is expecting like index.cs HTML that we have renamed. So there are two ways to get this view rendered. One, I'll just give the full path, views, and within views calculator, and then index1.ml. Then this knows the action method is different, but the actual view file is different name. So let me clean this, run this. So next I'm going to show you how to launch this. Now it works. Earlier you remember it was showing like view files is not present. Fine. So next thing, like how we should launch this calculator index by default. I have come to my program.cs, and in program.cs it says by default the controller is home. Instead of home I am writing calculator, and then in the action method is named index only. That's how by default I don't have to do anything. My first view has been rendered. So we have learned very basic thing, but it's very important. So I would request you all practice till this stage, start rendering your view. in the next video, we are going to see other layers. So far we have seen two layers, controller, view and controller, and how the view is being rendered. We have got a glimpses. I am telling you less, but you have to do practice more practice your own. So you have to understand the theory part. You can go through the theory in detail, like what is program class, what all things it does. Basically, program is the one entry point, a starting point of the web application. So here we have done all these things so that our default view is set as this calculator and index method. So thank you so much. I'll see you all in the next video. There we will introduce the concept of model and we will write some more code. Thank you. And yes, if you have still not liked and subscribed to Let's Code, please do that. Thank you so much.